In 2016, a documentary team went to this young man's house to investigate a strange claim he was making, a claim that most scientists said was impossible. This young man claimed he had the ability to remember every single day of his life, even days from when he was only 3 years old. So the documentary team decided to test him. They gave him random dates, and every time they did, he would tell them exactly which day of the week it was, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, whatever. And he would also describe the weather and everything that happened to him on that day. At first, you might think he's lying or pulling some trick, but in this video, we'll learn his full story. And believe me, you'll see things that make you feel like our own minds are missing something. This is a case that truly feels beyond imagination. Today, we're talking about memory, about people who can remember unbelievably detailed moments from their lives, even from decades ago. Of course, some people can train their memory, like those who memorize the entire religious books, even the verse numbers. But what we're discussing today is different. This isn't just memorization, it's recall. See, memorizing is when you focus intentionally on storing something in your mind. Recalling, on the other hand, is when you retrieve something that happened, even if you never tried to remember it in the first place. This young man's name is Aurelian Hayman. He lives in Wales, part of the United Kingdom. He claims he can recall events from his entire life, even from when he was 3 or 4 years old. A group of documentary producers went to meet him to document his case and test whether his claims were real or just a hoax. Even scientists found it hard to believe that such a thing was possible. At first, they tested his ability to recall dates and days. For example, they'd ask him, what day of the week was April 20th, 2012? He'd say, it was Friday, and he was right. Now, some people can calculate that using mathematical formulas, but Aurelian wasn't calculating, he was remembering. Then they gave him random dates and asked him what happened on those days. For instance, when asked about June 17th, 2008, he said, that was a Tuesday, it was the first day after my final high school exam. The team checked, and indeed the exam had taken place the day before. He went on, my room was a mess, so I spent the day cleaning. Later I went out with my family to an Indian restaurant. When we came back home, we watched a live talk show on TV. One of the hosts, comedian Joan Rivers, got fired on air for saying a bad word. The team looked this up, and it was true. That exact event happened on that same day. At that moment, they began to realize this wasn't a trick. Aurelian's ability seemed genuine. He continued to describe countless dates, and every time his answers matched reality. Even the weather for each day he described. He'd say it was sunny or it was raining, and when they checked historical weather data, he was always right. His parents also confirmed it. His mother said, sometimes when I talk about old trips, he corrects me on the exact date and details. When I check my diary, he's always right. We've learned not to argue with him about the past. If he says something happened on a date, it did. She even pulled out her diary on camera, opened a random page, and asked him about August 30th, 2004. He said, that was a Monday. We visited a chocolate factory. And once again, she checked, and he was right. Aurelian says he writes daily journals purely from memory. When asked how he does it, he said, it's not a trick. It just happens naturally. To further test him, the team brought in Dominic O'Brien, an 8-time world memory champion, a man who once entered the Guinness World Records for memorizing an entire deck of 52 cards in just 43 seconds. Dominic uses advanced memory techniques, but Aurelian doesn't use any techniques at all. He just remembers. After several tests, even Dominic admitted, this isn't normal memorization. His brain works in a completely different way. Of course, some people still doubted, until the team found even stronger evidence. Before Aurelian, there was a woman named Jill Price from the United States, the first known person in the world with this kind of memory, and her ability was even stronger than his. Unlike Aurelian, who sometimes needs to recall key moments to access memories, Jill could remember every single day of her life instantly. Just give her a date, and she could tell you exactly what happened. But unlike Aurelian, Jill suffered from her gift. She said, "Forgetfulness is a blessing. I can't forget anything. Every bad decision, every painful memory, it's all still there." Her constant recollection led her into depression. Psychiatrists couldn't help her. Her problem wasn't mental, it was neurological. Then came Dr. James McGaw, a famous neuroscientist. He studied Jill's memory for over 20 years. He tested her using a book called The 20th Century, Day by Day, which lists all major world events from 1900 to 1999. He'd open a random page, point to an event and ask, "When did this happen?" Every single answer Jill gave was correct, except one. She said the 1979 Iran hostage crisis happened on November 4th, but the book said she was wrong. Later they checked, and she was right. The book was wrong. She literally corrected history. Jill's ability wasn't memorization, she wasn't studying dates, she was recalling life as she experienced it. She only knew events she personally lived through. In 2008, Jill began appearing on TV interviews. Hosts would test her live, giving her random events or dates. And her answers were always accurate. Sometimes she even corrected their books or notes on air. In one interview, when asked about Princess Grace of Monaco's death, Jill said, "September 14, 1982. The host replied, "No, it says here September 10th. But a quick Google search proved Jill was right. Again, she corrected the record live on television. Her tests included identifying random TV scenes, naming the exact episode, air date, and even what the weather was like that day. Once, she identified a song from a TV show that only aired for 3 months when she was 11 years old. She remembered it instantly. Imagine remembering that when most of us can't even recall what we had for lunch yesterday. To cope with her endless memories, Jill began writing daily journals, over 50,000 pages. Scientists confirmed she couldn't possibly have memorized them, since her handwriting was tiny and barely legible. Writing was simply her way to release the emotional burden of remembering everything. Some people assume those with this ability are geniuses. But Jill wasn't particularly good in school. When asked if she could memorize a poem, she said no. Her memory wasn't trained, it was automatic. Scientists later gave this condition a name, hyperthymesia, meaning excessive remembering. Since Jill's discovery, thousands have claimed to have it, but only 62 people worldwide have been officially diagnosed. Brain scans revealed that those with this condition have certain brain areas, particularly the caudate nucleus, up to 7 times larger and more active than normal. But no one knows why. Maybe it's a genetic mutation, maybe something else. Researchers hope that studying this phenomenon will one day lead to treatments for memory disorders like Alzheimer's. And that's the end of our story. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. Check out our previous videos, and I'll see you in the next one.